Fincher's style is also a knockout, filming everything as if this was a movie made in 1940.
It really makes you feel like David Fincher truly made you step back into the past, make you feel like you're stepping into the 1930s.
It just really feels like we are watching a movie that came from that era.
Makes me feel like I'm
Spider-Man
into the 1930s.
You'll feel like you're sitting at a movie theater back in 1940.
So it feels like a period movie that is pulled right out of the late 30s, early 40s.
Just showed it to somebody who had no idea who these actors were, didn't know who David Fincher was. You could probably convince them that it was from the 1930s.
From the editing, it's wonderfully edited from
An expert recreation.
Dinner party scene in this film that is so densely layered and delivered at such a quick pace.
Precious everyone. A very happy birthday, Lou. Our country should be flattered that you picked its birth date as your own. The rest of us have to be satisfied with the one we happen to be born on. Here's to your rich Canadian imagination.
Here's the banks reopening.
And freedom. I believe you've met our distinguished guest, Mr. Rex Tugwell. Now, Rex is Special Assistant to President Roosevelt, and we're all interested in what you might share with us. We all want to welcome the Thalbergs back from Irving's long convalescence in Europe.
Thank you, WR.
Good to see you, Irving.
Thank you, Mr. Hurst.
Anybody seen anything good lately?
I just saw 42nd Street. It blew my wig.
You could take the girl out of bed style.
When was that?
Over the weekend, you were in D.C. I went to the pictures in Santa Barbara.
We have a fine screening room here.
Warner's picture. Why waste money on that?
Next time I'll go with you.
Of course, I am bonkers about movie tone news. I love Will Thomas's voice.
Oh, is he single? I sat across from him at the Brown Derby once. He bought me a drink.
He didn't.
Not technically, but I made sure to run into him in the parking lot after. I asked him, "Do you need a lift?"
You didn't. What did he say?
I'll never tell.
There's a point to this, dear?
Well, yes, they showed that Hitler giving a speech, kissing babies. He is creep.
Later, hosen and suspenders. Terrifying.
Oh no, the mustache that's the horror.
Don't be alarmed, Mary. You won't be around for long. Germans are a thoughtful, considerate people. Well, enough about Nazis. Irving, tell us about your travels. Where were you?
Berlin, in fact. But it was quite interesting.
Thugs in brown shirts, goose-stepping past our hotel all night, screaming anti-Semitic slogans. I was terrified the whole time. This Hitler sounds like another trip. Shouldn't the United States do something, Mr. Tugwell?
We are weighing all options. At last, who in the world takes a lunatic like that seriously?
Well, the last time I looked, 40 million Germans.
Mank, you're always so wonderfully contrary.
Chess and sunburns der coffee. Can 40 million Nazis all be wrong?
I just read they've opened their first concentration camps and started burning books. What's next? Movies?
Spain off Jersey coast. Is that really your idea of how to run a newspaper?
I don't know how to run a newspaper, Mr. Thatcher. I just try everything I can think of.
Charles, you know perfectly well there's not the slightest proof that this armada's off the Jersey
Hello,
coast.
Mr. Bernstein.
Excuse me, Mr.
Can you
Kane.
prove it isn't?
This just
Mr.
came
Bernstein,
in.
I'd like you to meet Mr. Thatcher.
I'll just borrow How do you do, Mr. Thatcher?
Leland,
Hello.
Mr. Thatcher, my ex-guardian.
From
We have
Cuba.
no secrets from our readers, Mr. Bernstein. Mr. Thatcher is one of our most devoted readers. He knows what's wrong with every copy of the Inquirer since I took over. Read the cable.
Girls delightful in Cuba, stop. Could send you prose poems about scenery, but don't feel right spending your money. Stop. There is no war in Cuba. Signed, Wheeler. Any answer?
Yes, dear Wheeler, you provide the prose poems. I'll provide the war.
That's fine, Mr. Kane.
Yes, I rather like myself.
Charles,
Send it right away.
I came to see you about this
Mr.
campaign of
Thatcher.
yours. This Inquirer campaign against the Public Transit Company.
Mr. Thatcher, do you know anything we could use against them?
Still the college boy, aren't you?
Oh, no, Mr. Thatcher. I was expelled from college. A lot of colleges, you remember. I remember.
Charles, I think I should remind you of a fact that you seem to have forgotten.
Yes,
That
Mr.
you are
Thatcher.
yourself one of the largest individual
Mr. Thatcher.
stockholders in the Public Transit Company.
The trouble is you don't realize you're talking to two people. As Charles Foster Kane, who owns 82,364 shares of public transit preferred, you see, I do have a general idea of my holdings. I sympathize with you. Charles Foster Kane is a scoundrel. His paper should be run out of town. A committee should be formed to boycott him. You may, if you can form such a committee, put me down for a contribution of $1,000.
My time's
On the
too
other
tight.
hand, I am the publisher of the Inquirer. As such, it's my duty, and I'll let you in on a little secret. It's also my pleasure to see to it that decent, hard-working people in this community aren't robbed blind by a pack of money-mad pirates just because haven't anybody to look after their interests. I'll let you in on another little secret, Mr. Thatcher. I think I'm the man to do it, you see. I have money and property. If I don't look after the interests of the underprivileged, maybe somebody else will. Maybe somebody without any money or property.
Yes, yes,
And that
yes.
would
Money
be too
and property.
bad.
Well, I happened to see your financial statement today, Charles.
Oh, did you?
Now, tell me honestly, my boy, don't you think it's rather unwise to continue this philanthropic enterprise? This inquirer that's costing you $1 million a year?
You're right, Mr. Thatcher. I did lose $1 million last year. I expect to lose $1 million this year. I expect to lose $1 million next year. You know, Mr. Thatcher, at the rate of $1 million a year, we'll close this place in 60 years.